Well, good afternoon and welcome to the Rotary Club of Edina. I'm Sam Thompson and I'm proud to be your 66th president. We're coming to you live from the Edina Country Club and also on Zoom. We have 31 people that have pre-registered live and 25 on Zoom. And I must admit, it's great to be live again. Our club's fiscal year started July 1st of 2020, right in the middle of the pandemic. And since we're in the 7th month, I thought it would be a good idea to give you a mid-year update. I'm so proud of our board and what they've done as far as getting through this pandemic. They have really persevered through these difficult times. Due to COVID, there were 6 annual programs this past year that we had to cancel. Some of the programs were delayed, condensed, replaced, or we still just don't know what's going to happen with them. And then 7 programs, we figured out a way to offer either virtually or using social distance and with masks. And our gala this past fall was a huge success. It was around the world theme. Normally, when we're not in a pandemic, our goal is to hit $100,000 as our net fundraising, and we were able to come in just under $98,000. So that really is great. I want to thank Catherine Gump and Bjorn Fordenthal, our co-chairs, all the sponsors, the hosts, the members, the committee. You did a really good job. And this money that we raised goes to our local and our international grants and also our committed projects. New this year, we've established a summer camp enterprise, our race and equity committee, and the Edina High School Rotary Scholars, which past President Josh Sprague established when he was last year in his term. And I'm happy to announce that we just heard this last week that there are 7 Global Scholar graduates, that Lindsay was able to let us know that. So yay Lindsay and yay the program. And then Halibut was a new program put on by the city and we participated in that too. Other happenings, we didn't have a fireside chat this last fall and we will not have a live fireside chat in the spring, but Susan Johnson's working on smaller virtual gatherings, which should be really good. We're looking forward to that. And we're also going to be part of what's called the 2021 Kindness Challenge with the City of Edina, and that's a program supporting restaurants, and we'll have more information on that to come. We plan on having our picnic. It's scheduled for June 17th, so hopefully we'll be able to have that. We're waiting on our Lake Street Council business to be matched up with. And we have right now 167 members. We started the year at 171. We've added 3, and last year we had added 10. So we're going to work our way there. I want to thank Don Hutchison, our speakers chair. He's done a great job in juggling all the speakers through COVID. I know it's been really tough. And the future is bright. People need to be vaccinated. And so if there's any way we can help with the process, I've told the city we're open to doing this. I'd love to see our club get involved. So in the pandemic, we have stayed the course. Our members have been resilient. And I want to thank all of you for everything you do and for your membership. We truly are the #1 club in the universe. Now, for our member update. I do have sad news to report. Sandy Schley's husband, Dwayne, passed away last week. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in 2017, and he recently contracted COVID. Please keep Sandy and her 2 sons, Jeff and Steve, and their families in your thoughts and prayers. Barbara Bourne, she was out with her great nephews, Camden, who's 7, and Grayson, who's 4, and they found the sculpture Zug Zug the Caveman in Theodore Wirth Park. Maybe some of you have seen this in the news. It's been on TV and in the paper. I asked Barbara if she had a better photo of the sculpture because I really couldn't see inside. So she did send me another one. And she told me it was updated. The sculpture was actually updated. So thank you, Barbara, for sending that to me. And I'm happy to announce that Matt Boockmeier and Alicia Nemec are engaged. And we asked Matt about the date, and he said he'll know the date when he's told. And Rotary in the news, Rotaract is having their skating social this Saturday, January 30th at Centennial Lakes Park. It's from 1 to 3. You can just show up. We have 4 birthdays this next week, so happy birthday, everybody. We have 3 anniversaries this next week, so congratulations. And assisting off podium, greeter is Fred Sylvester. Our Zoom greeter is Bob Gubrud. Front desk is Brad Hepp. Photographer Jennifer Hendrickson. And AV support Ryan Wilson. And then 2 more announcements. We sent out the duty roster last week, and we really need members to volunteer for duties at our meetings. We scheduled for every 6 months, and everybody should be getting about 2 duties every 6 months. And if you can't make it, we really need you to find a replacement if you can. And then after lunch, we're asking everybody to please put your mask back on, not only for your safety, but for other members' safety. Okay. With that, I'd like to call up David Clynes for our invocation.
Good afternoon. Is this working? As our prestigious president said, oh boy, is it good to be back together. I miss you guys. In the theme of today, I rely upon the esteemed Canadian theologian Tom Telfer of the London, Ontario Rotary Club. Please bow your heads. Lord, as you blessed the loaves and fishes, please bless the food upon our dishes. Like the sugar for our tea, may our lives be stirred by thee. Thank you. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The 4-way test, right there. If all concerned will be beneficial to all concerned. See, I remember. Okay, next.
And it looks like we don't have any guests live today, but is it Julie Westbrook? It is on Zoom, I believe, is visiting. She's been visiting before, so welcome, Julie. And now I'll call up Jennifer.
It is my pleasure to welcome Kayla to our club. So I will be presenting her with the pin, and I just wanted to say that it's been wonderful to become fast friends with you, and I know you'd rather be in the sunshine in Maui, but we love having you in the sunshine of Minnesota today. So Kayla, as a member of the Rotary Club of Edina, on behalf of our entire membership, we would like to welcome you as a new member to our club. Please join in the friendship that we share and in the passion that we hold for projects that make our community and the world a better place. Rotary is an organization of business and professional people who desire to uphold high professional standards in their vocations. As an employee of Village Shores, your classification will be Senior Services. Please get involved by joining many of our committees, or join a committee of the many committees that we have. And by doing this, you'll get to know many of our members. And you will find that the true value of Rotary's motto, which is service above self. So at this time, I will present to you with the badge of Rotary, which is our pin. I will let you pin it on yourself. Okay. And a little packet for you.
Aw, thank you.
And then Kayla is going to give a classification talk.
Hi, everyone. I know a lot of you have heard me speak already, so I won't talk very long. But thank you so much for having me. My name is Kayla Beehler. I have been a Rotarian previously with the Fargo-Moorhead Morning AM Club is what we were. And then after I moved from Fargo, I moved to Maui, Hawaii. I lived in Hawaii for 2 years, and then COVID brought me back here. So when I came back to the Midwest, I found a perfect job at Village Shores. I work at Village Shores as a marketing associate. Senior living is new to me, but helping people is a passion of mine, so that's where I found this kind of all combining into one. If I'm not at work, you can probably find me at happy hour with Jen or Schley, or you can find me at the gym. So one of those two places. Yeah, there's Schley. So I do have to give Schley a shout out because she was the first one to introduce me to the Rotary Club of Edina, and then of course Jennifer as well. Thank you so much. But I'm so happy to be here. I'm happy to be with all of you and look forward to getting to know each and every one of you. Thank you.
Well, welcome, Kayla. Nice to have you with us. Okay, we actually have 2 speakers today. Very exciting. Our first speaker I'd like to introduce is Kathy Rendleman, who's the Executive Director of the Edina Education Fund. And Kathy will be sharing information on their mental health campaign. Kathy.
Thank you for having me here today. Thank you for that lovely introduction. My name is Kathy Rendleman. For those of you I haven't met, I'm the Executive Director of the Edina Education Fund. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Edina Education Fund today, some of the partnerships we already have going with the Rotary that we're super excited about, and about our largest initiative this year is our mental health campaign. So jumping right in, the Edina Education Fund is here to support the Edina Public School students. We are a mission-aligned partner, which means that I exist as a foundation strictly because of the schools, and that's all we do, is to fund work within our school student body. The Edina Education Fund is coming up on its, quick math, 25th year, more than that actually, 26th year in the fall. We started in 1995 with a group of parents who were looking to fund computers in the classroom. And we've morphed and we've changed since then. As most of our young students have technology capabilities now, we've become looking into other areas that are meaningful for those students. We provide private and we secure funding outside of what tax dollars can do on their own and other fundraising organizations such as PTOs. We tend to work across buildings and in larger scope than just buying something small for a teacher's classroom. So what we do is kind of broken up into 2 different areas. First of all, there is the area of programming, and then our service area. Programming is what we raise our funds for. We raise funds to support things in the areas of literacy, mental health and wellness, STEAM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, the arts, and mathematics, and also in professional development. We do this by working with people like yourselves to bring in funds that are needed in our school buildings. We also hold relationships in 2 of our service areas, one of which being our Edina High School scholarships, where we offer and work with donors to bring scholarships to our graduating seniors. And another is called our fiscal sponsorships, and this is where we get to work with clubs and organizations of students throughout the district who are looking to do something, either be our nationwide known robotics team at our high school, all the way to our youngest learners and maybe their art adventure classes, or if you're like myself, Art Masterpiece might sound a little bit more familiar, and bring in those speakers to teach them about art. There's a wide breadth here. One of our largest things we did this past year in 2020 was to establish the Meal Fund COVID-19 response that you may have heard of, where we raised over $100,000 to bring dinner meals to families in the Edina area. This program is still going. I'm proud to announce that we have now delivered over 87,000 dinners. We've provided nearly $50,000 in Cub gift cards that families can spend to supplement these meals, and over 8,500 pounds of fresh produce. Our programming, as I mentioned, is broken up into 4 areas, and we've provided over $3 million to the schools since our inception. So I'm here today to tell you a little bit about our Heal Together campaign. This is our mental health campaign that we came together with the district to help bring some mental health relief in our community. Now, many people ask me, is this due to COVID-19? And the answer is absolutely not. This started about 2 years ago. We started meeting with the district, and though we have been giving to mental health and wellness in our school community for years, we were asked to step up and do something a little bit more organized instead of keep putting Band-Aids on the situation. It's not enough to put money aside for kids that need therapist help on an annual basis as we had been doing, or possibly put in things like moving in the classroom, little pedaling bicycles under their desk for those kids that can't quite sit still but still need to learn. So we came out with a comprehensive campaign with our district that we hope to accomplish over the next 2 years. I don't have to tell you that there's overwhelming evidence that our families are in need. When Edina families were surveyed about their mental health concerns, and this was done early last spring, over 50% mentioned that they have mental health concerns in their family, either for themselves or for their students. Now, one of the biggest misnomers we're finding is many people will say to me, we just need to get our kids back in the schools. And the truth of the matter is, that's not the end all. There is much work to be done. And as we're finding this week, as we brought back our youngest learners in K through 2, that they come with anxiety and scared and being frightened like never before. There's a transition in all of our lives. We transitioned in the spring when we were kept at home, and now we will transition back. And with that transition comes many challenges. We find kids that are too afraid to get on a school bus, kids that are crying in the hallway because they're used to being with their parents for the last 10 months, kids that were told by their parents for very good reason to not be near other people, to keep a mask on, and to be careful. And now we put them in classrooms of 20-some students and tell them they're just fine. And the truth of the matter is, they're not just fine. Not just fine yet, though. They will be, and they need our help to get there. This work is completely aligned with our district, and it is a part of the strategic plan that Edina put together for the 2020 through 2025 school years. We're proud that this is an extreme effort by all parties involved. So what are we hoping to do? We're hoping that we can ensure mental health and wellness for everyone in our community, regardless of their situation. We can provide the access in our own buildings instead of sending people elsewhere to get the help that they need. And that we provide our teachers the professional development that they need to help support our kids. As you all know, in the business world, professional development is something that's incredibly important. Unfortunately, it's something that typically falls to the bottom of the bucket when we're looking to fund our schools. Our teachers don't just graduate and then they're expected to teach for the next 30-some years. We need to provide them ongoing professional development to make that real. So our campaign is broken up into 4 areas. The first of which was kind of a let's throw some money together and let's work with people to get some summer support help in place. Between the pandemic and the social unrest this summer, we needed to act quickly and pull together about $8,000 to bring and put summer support staff in place to make phone calls and to make contact with our families in the South Minneapolis area that needed our help. Then roughly half of it is going to be spent on professional development for our teachers, both in the classroom, in the cafeteria, school bus drivers. Every single person who is in contact with a student should be trained on what they need to recognize when that student needs help and how to best give them the help and the support they need. Anything from maybe they need a fist bump or a hug to maybe they need something more. And then the other half will be spent on therapist support. At Edina, we have a very interesting case in therapist support where we don't hire a therapist per se. We bring in professionals in our area, professionals that come to us from Fraser, from Relate Chemical Dependency Counseling, and from Park Nicollet. These are people who do this all day long. And if you talk to a therapist, they'll tell you, especially if they work with students, they don't have a whole lot of students between the hours of 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. And then they're booked after school. So we bring them to our site. We have them sit in our buildings. Our students visit them during the day, and their half-hour sessions are 32-minute sessions by the time they walk there and walk back to class. They miss less school, their anxiety goes down, they get the help they need, and we can remove barriers like transportation. So why am I here today? I'm here because it's really important that we're all aware of mental health and wellness. It's really important that we understand that there's resources out there and that we connect people with these resources. If you, your children, a neighbor, anyone needs help, if they're within the schools, please go to the school website and you will find help resources there. If they're not within the schools, go to the city website and you'll find the same things. I'm also here because we could use company and person support. Spread the word. Do you have time in your schedule that you could carve out 20 minutes to read with a kindergartner over Zoom? To make sure that they're getting what they need and to know that there's someone out there that cares outside of their four walls of their home. If you're interested in doing any opportunities, please ask me questions afterwards or come with ideas. We do have a corporate sponsor in the room, so I have to call out Mark Jesson, who's been a longtime supporter of the Ed Fund and one of our main corporate sponsors. And if you'd like to hear more about the Ed Fund, please ask me. I'm sure please ask Mark as well, so he's very well versed. And thank you for having me here today.
Good afternoon, I'm Don Hutchison. I'm going to introduce our speaker today. Erik Therwanger is the founder of Think Great and Think Great Foundation. He draws his experience as a U.S. Marine, a business leader, a sales professional, an entrepreneur, and he helps organizations achieve new levels of success. He combines unique leadership development, sales, performance, and strategic planning to empower team members and leaders. Today we're going to hear about how business leaders can prepare for post-COVID and its impact. Think Great is a veteran-owned business. Perhaps Erik's most passionate about, the role that he's most passionate about is that of a husband and a caregiver. It was just 10 months after his wedding to his wife Gina, when Gina was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Erik left a 12-year career in the entertainment industry in LA so he could maintain his caregiving duties for Gina. Erik's been Gina's caregiver through 4 bouts of cancer and also cardiac arrest. They were blessed with a daughter, and this remarkable story is part of Erik's message of long-standing hope and inspiration. Please give a warm and enthusiastic welcome to our guest today, Erik Therwanger.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. It is good to be back in person. I like this, and great energy in the room, too. Holy smokes. You got to have me back. I want to come back. All right. I am very excited, although I only have a short period of time with you today to talk about something that we're all facing, which is the impact of social distancing. How many of you out there have felt the impact of social distancing, being apart from family, being apart from friends, being apart from our coworkers? It is impactful, isn't it? Now, we've also adapted, we've improvised, we've overcome, we've done some things, and challenges often cause us to do that. So I'm going to get through as much of this and open it up for questions for you. You can even interrupt me if you'd like and just say, hey, I have a thought on this. You won't throw me off my game, trust me. I'm really going to piggyback on some of the things that Kathy said. You can't just put kids back in school. You can't just put people back to work. And I'm going to share with you what we're doing to help businesses identify and implement the cure for social distancing. I want you to think about something right now that's so critical. It's just that word unification. Isn't that a great word? To unify. Maybe 2021 should be the year of unification, bringing people back together, but the right way. Okay. We have a lot of different industries represented out here. Just in the last 2 weeks, I've done presentations and worked with banks, construction companies, retail, manufacturing, broadcast, and healthcare. All on this topic, how we unify. But I want to ask you this question. What's your greatest asset in your business or your organization? How many agree it's people? All right, that's what I get. That's the most common answer. That's actually what your people want you to say, right? Can you imagine if you had someone here from your company and you're like, profits, our processes, our products, not our people. They want you to hear this. They want to hear products. They want to hear all that stuff. However, it's people. Now, let me ask you a question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you value teamwork? If 10 being the highest level that you can answer, how important is teamwork in your organization? 10. All right. So let's just say it out loud. 1, 2, 3. Teamwork. Sounds awesome. Would it be fair to say that when we pull our greatest asset together, we form teams? Would it be fair to say that when our people are together, they're at their strongest? Does anybody see where I'm going with this? We've been mandated to stay apart. Is that correct? Is it possible that teamwork, cohesion, unification could suffer? 100%. And as Kathy said with children in school, you just don't put them back in the classroom. There's a transition that's very, very important. Ooh. Ooh. All right, so there's some statistics on people as it relates to cohesion. I'm not going to read them all today. I'll just give you a little overview here. 54% of employees have a strong sense of community. That they say that's what kept them at a company longer than was in their best interest. So some people stay because of that sense of community. Has community been disrupted during COVID-19? 100%. 50% are more likely to have lower employee turnover when there's high levels of communication. So we're seeing that community, we're seeing communication, we're seeing cohesion, we're seeing studies that say people stay longer, people enjoy work more when these elements are in play. But they're not in play right now, not as much as they could be. Now, when everyone knows their objective and job, the team becomes unstoppable. Has there been some confusion in the past year? Has there been uncertainty, instability, a lack of communication? Has accountability suffered? All of these things, right? How many of you actually experienced turnover? People leaving. And here's the crazy part. The mass exodus from the workplace hasn't happened yet. People tend not to move when there's chaos. They wait for it to be over. And so what I want to do is share some ideas with you that can help prepare people. How many of you really feel people are your greatest asset and you want to keep them? Good thing I'm here today. Good thing. All right. How many of you would agree that long-distance relationships can be tough? How many have ever heard that long-distance relationships, most of them don't work? Does anybody know the one common factor? It's right in the word. Distance. Distance. What are we practicing these days? And these are people that love each other. But I know what you're thinking. Just get them back together. Just get them together. So Ohio State University did a study on this. And what they found is that 82% of the couples that said, all right, forget the distance, let's move in. Separated. People were in love, separated when brought back together. And a third of that 82% happened within 3 months. You have to apologize. I'll apologize a little bit if I'm passionate and intense. But if people are your greatest asset, you have to hear this. You don't want them to leave, and they haven't started to leave yet. And there's some things that will trigger this. Now, long-distance relationships. So let's just talk COVID-19. Let's talk on, March 11th, the worldwide pandemic was declared last year, right? Wasn't it March 11th? And immediately the CDC came out and had 3 recommendations to stop the spread. And we know what they are. I mean, the first one was wash hands. Is anybody opposed to washing hands? Like, that one should be a no-brainer, right? As adults, we should be like, yeah, I get this. We should do this anyways. It always concerns me when you go into a restaurant that says, employees must wash hands. Why do they need to be reminded? All right, I'm just saying, how many have ever felt that? All right, it's not just me then. All right, now the next one. The next one was a little bit bigger, a little more daunting, right? Wear masks. All right, some professions wear masks. I wore a mask when I was my wife's caregiver. She was in a sterile room at the bone marrow transplant ward at the City of Hope in Duarte, California. I wore a mask because she was sick. The slightest germ could kill her. I wore a mask in the Marine Corps. I served during the time period of the Gulf War, and we trained with a gas mask on, airtight filters, kept out airborne contaminants. I get it. So I'm not a stranger to masks, but it is weird, right? It is weird. Sometimes family members will come over and wear a mask. I'm like, this is just weird. I'll never embrace it. I'm just not going to be like, look at my new mask. I just got this on. Did you? And there's like, you can get your logo on it now. I'll be glad for that to go away. But those weren't really the big ones. What was the biggie? You guys should stay apart. Stay apart. Wait a minute. What's our greatest asset? And they're strongest when they're... How many months have we been distanced? It's having impacts, isn't it? It's having impacts, but the biggest impact hasn't hit yet. It hasn't hit yet, but it's coming. It's not if, it's when. It will come. Now, I mentioned earlier that I served in the Marine Corps. How many of you would agree that you don't take somebody, separate them, maybe from their unit, separate them from their base, separate them from their families for long periods of time in a challenging circumstance, and then just bring them back and go, hey, have a nice new norm? How many would agree with that? We kind of learned that one in the Vietnam era, didn't we? You just can't do it. How many agree that COVID-19 is challenging? Our people are in a challenging circumstance. We can't just put them back together. All right, I got another one because you're like, well, wait a minute. I got another one. When my wife was first diagnosed with cancer, we met with the oncologist. The oncologist trained me to be a caregiver. I had to give her 2 shots in the legs every night to boost her immune system. I had to clean the exit wound of the Hickman line, the tube that stuck out of her chest for 6 months, clean it, and flush it with saline. I was a caregiver, full-time caregiver. He told me to keep her positive, keep her optimistic, keep her spirits high, get it? And then he said this, hey, I just got to let the two of you know, since you've only been married 10 months, you're still newlyweds. If you survive, that's what he said to her, there's a chance the marriage won't. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, more bad news? And I said, well, I don't understand. He said, when people go through a traumatic situation, it shakes their foundation. And you don't notice the damage mentally and physically until it's over. He goes, most couples will stay together during it. They fall apart after it. And I remember going home that night and mapped out her treatments, mapped out trying to keep her positive, and then we said, we need to stay married. We need to stay married. Because we were just told it might fall apart. So we just celebrated our 22-year anniversary. Oh, thank you. We've been through non-Hodgkin's lymphoma stage 3, basal cell cancer, breast cancer, mastectomy, melanoma, and she died in my arms on March 13th, 2016 while I was doing CPR of cardiac arrest. It was brought back after the 3rd hit with the defibrillator. Every single time we focused on unification. Every single time. My person is important to me. And you guys just gave your people a 10 out of 10? Awesome. We have to unify the right way. We can't just put people back together and hope it works out. We know our greatest asset is our people, and they're socially distanced, whether they work remote or whether they're in the office staying 6 feet apart and doing the bumps with the elbows, whatever. Still weird, right? It impacts performance. Social distancing impacts performance. And here's an example. If you've watched sports, you ever seen the cardboard cutouts in the stands? Yeah. You ever seen the video screens in the stands? If highly trained, disciplined athletes making millions per year need to see their fans when they've been distanced from their fans, maybe somebody making $30,000 a year needs some help too. Just think about it. It's impacting performance. Otherwise, they wouldn't waste time putting that stuff in the stands. That's one where they actually fill. Those are all cardboard cutouts. Every single one of them. Now, Gallup did a study that says by, April 20th, 62% of the workforce was remote. 62% did an amazing job going remote with virtually little training and ramp up. Is that correct? And some people did it so well, they would say to me, well, I think we're going to stay remote when this is all over. And now they're saying, can you talk to me more about that virtual fatigue thing? How many have had people say, I have virtual fatigue? Good luck with staying remote. Then we need to be balanced, right? And so this is very important. At least in the military, you go to boot camp. You go to your MOS school, your job school. Then they prepare you and prepare you and prepare you to send you. We just sent people. You'll be remote tomorrow. Excuse me? And turn your camera on, please. But my kids are, but I'm a part-time teacher right now. There's been very little preparation. Preparation in the military is critical. We deployed our people. Most people have been remote or socially distanced longer than most deployments. Okay, think about this. Here we go. PTSD, post-traumatic stress. When the war is over, when your tour of duty is over, that's when PTSD is most noticeable. When the vaccine is fully implemented, that's when the impact will be most noticeable. Make no bones about it, it's coming. When Gina was in the recovery mode from cancer, it was tougher than the actual cancer because there were so many variables. There were so many things not regimented. That's what's coming. This is a year of great opportunities for the right teams, for the right leaders. But you have to reunify your people. Now, everybody's familiar with Newton's third law of motion, right? Which is, for every action, there's what? An equal and opposite reaction. What's the action we're taking? All right, but nobody's talking about the reaction. Nobody. Oh, maybe some people, but you know what I mean? We're not talking about it. There's side effects. There's side effects that happened immediately. Now, anybody ever watch TV and you see those great drug commercials? Why are you laughing? Because you know what's coming. Everybody's happy. There's great music. And it just says, Don, just take this pill and you're going to feel better. Oh, wait a minute. What's the last 30 seconds of the commercial? Hey, but Don, you might get dizziness, suicidal thoughts, boner, joint pain, headaches, diarrhea, depression, painful swallowing, and you might die. Hey, anyways. Isn't it laughable watching that? We even watch them going, this can't be real. It can't be real. But you know what I like about Big Pharma? Not much, but what I like about them is at least they tell us. Nobody's talking about the short-term symptoms, but here they are. This is what I've discovered as a business coach. People have been stressing this since the beginning, being remote, being distance, a lack of accountability, unproductive delegation, ineffective communication, minimized synergy, lackluster culture, high turnover, increased frustrations. That's just the start. Those are the short-term side effects. You want to know the long-term? Here's what's coming. High levels of disengagement, disconnection, isolation, conflict, resentment, individualism, withdrawal, detachment. The ultimate sign of social distancing is somebody quits or is fired. They're gone. We're distanced forever. But we can fix this. You know what's great? No matter what industry you work in, when you take a leadership approach, we're all in the people business. Is that correct? Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Our greatest asset is what? We have to train for this. We have to prepare our people for reintegration. Okay. We don't even have time to get into this, but I will tell you right now, there is a significant HR nightmare coming. There it is. Just think for a second. You're going to bring somebody back in that doesn't feel safe. If somebody loses their job because they don't feel safe, could they have a wrongful termination lawsuit at the ready? Kathy said something very important about children, personal development. Don't just train your people, develop them. There's a difference. They are complete opposites. Training to know their job more, development to think and act like leaders and understand people more. This is critical. I've already talked to HR people that are ramping up, a lot of work coming in. It's already happening. Some businesses are even saying that the tail is wagging the dog, that the team members, formerly known as employees, I'm giving you some great words today though for unification. Don't call them employees. Team members are starting to say when I'll come to work, when I can be on the meeting, when I will show up. And leaders are saying, okay. Not everybody's going to want to come back the same way. We have to prepare. So we see story after story after story on coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever the case is called. Time magazine first did a story when it broke out, and it said that the coronavirus outbreak has become the world's largest work-from-home experiment. How many agree with that? Like it is, right? I mean, how many of you planned on going remote at some point, and then you're like, okay, we're doing it tomorrow? I mean, it was crazy, like, poof, no ramp-up time, 0 to 100. I'm going to challenge this, and I think that in this article they missed the boat. Because here's a lot of other experiments going on. It's an experiment in accountability, communication, retention, goal setting, delegation, engagement, culture, vision, all that. These are experiments, but the biggest one is this one right here. Can you unify your people? Can you create cohesion? In 2021, we will find out the answer in every business, not some, but all. We will either pass or we will fail. You are either going to capture the opportunities of 2021 with a cohesive team, or you will spend time replacing your team. How long does it take to hire and train and develop somebody? So 2021 is your destiny. I would recommend you give it a theme today with your team. For us, 2021 at Think Great is the year of movement. We are moving forward. We're moving into a great new era, not the new norm, it doesn't exist. We're moving into a great new era in business, the greatest new era ever. And this is the mindset that we have. I'm not even bringing my people back and just saying, hey, well, it's going to be over soon. We are going through development ourselves. I'm coaching my own team on how to come back. All right. There's different numbers too, and I'm not going to read all these to you. It's saying that most people are nervous about coming back, even after the vaccine is in place, that people are nervous about this. And so you can look at the stats out there. I don't have enough time to get into all of it, but I just want you to know that not everybody's feeling the same way. How many would agree with that in our nation as a whole? And think about this. We're going to unify people that have been through COVID-19. In this state, we reduced the restrictions, then brought back some restrictions. We reduced them again, then brought some back. So as Kathy said, transition, 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 transition. We also had a political year unlike anything ever, and we had civil unrest. Did you know that one challenge is enough to throw somebody off? We had 4. And the biggest one is coming, the transition back to the great new era in business. So a lot of times when I hear leaders say, well, I'll ask them, I'll say, what are you doing to prepare your people to come back? They said, hey, the vaccine's coming. Let me just be clear. The vaccine will fight COVID-19. It will not fight the impact of social distancing. In fact, it's going to be like the end of the war, right? It's going to signal that we will be able to visually see all this stuff. We're going to experience it all now. So here's some undeniable things. And this is why I will read to you. These are undeniable this year. For most of 2020, the majority of businesses have been practicing social, which is actually physical distancing, right? That's an undeniable truth. Okay, here's another undeniable truth. Teamwork is essential for success in the workplace. Is that true? Okay. Another one, getting people together pre-COVID was important, but unifying our teams right now is a priority. How good did it feel just to come back today here? It's a different feel, isn't it? Okay, the impending fallout from social distancing is not an if it will happen, but rather when will it happen. Leaders, it's going to happen in your organization. It's going to happen. But you can navigate through this. As leaders, we must unify our people during a time of forced distancing, and we cannot afford to let the significant impact of distancing slowly dismantle our teams. You know what's great about a challenge, about a conflict, is it brings people together. It creates cohesion. Any veterans out there? Who's served? One. What branch of service? Army. Army. So we got a Marine and a soldier here. Nobody from the Navy or Air Force? So we can talk about the Navy and the Air Force today. All right.
Always want to be a dependent wife.
A dependent wife. I know that's a true status. Our foundation actually awards scholarships to military spouses, just as a way of saying thanks for your sacrifice. Not an easy lifestyle. Hey, you're going to move in 3 years. Okay. Here's my point. We've got to have a plan to bring people back together. We can't just wing it. If people are our greatest asset, we have to prepare people. We can't just hope. Now, here's some things that you can do, and I promise I'll wrap it up. While we do full development sessions for organizations, we do have kind of a first aid kit, some things that we recommend. Some things that you could do right now. Maybe just have a virtual coffee if you're fully distanced. We were talking about this at the table a second ago. Just spend time with your people. Give them a call, and don't talk work. Don't talk work. Ask how they're doing. Could you imagine that maybe somebody's had COVID impact their family or their business, their spouse has been laid off. All of these things have happened, and you're like, hey, how are you doing on that project? You know what I mean? If people are our greatest asset, we have to ask better questions. So maybe we can get in person with a coffee right now, or maybe we can at least do it virtual. You can also do things with your team. Virtual pizza parties. We're working with clients where they'll send gift cards out so that people can all order pizza. They'll have pizza together in Zoom, and they play games like bingo, online. It actually is pretty fun. So some of the games are fun, some not so much so, but some of them are really awesome. But you can still do some team activities, right? If a team is a 10 out of 10, we still have to unify them. And then, do all hands events. You feel the power here. You guys missed each other. We're still in the people business. Have events, maybe not outdoors right now, but in areas where they can spread out a little bit and still see each other. This is important. I know some organizations are back, some aren't back, some won't come back for a while, but we have to unify as much as possible. Now, how do you know if your team really needs the cure? If you answer yes to any of these, you need to focus on this. Are people your greatest asset? You need the cure before you need the cure. You can start implementing some things. Is your team experiencing virtual fatigue? They probably need help. Is leadership important in your company? Do you value efficient teamwork? Do you want higher levels of engagement? And is communication critical? If you've answered yes to any of those, you might want to really think about the way you're bringing people on board, back on board. Just like Kathy said, it's too critical. I mean, if children are at least showing it, which is great so you can see it, I think most adults hide it. And we have to be very verbal with them. We have to ask how they're doing. Just as we can't have somebody come back from a traumatic situation and just say, you'll be okay. Now, here's the hope. The glimmer of hope out there. Most people want to stay unified. It's not like when the oncologist said that many marriages end in divorce, Gina and I said, yes, we're out of this. It wasn't like that. There's hope. And sometimes it's just little shifts in the way we're doing things can make a huge impact. All right, did I stay on time?
Yeah, 3 minutes.
I have 3 minutes, so I just want to open it up if you have any questions. I know that this is a huge topic in a year unlike anything we've seen, but does anybody have any thoughts or insights? Yes, sir.
Is our Veterans Rotary Club aware of your scholarship program or funding program for spouses?
They are. I know Gary White, who heads it up. Yeah. Yes, they are. Thanks for asking. That's a great Rotary, too. Anybody else have any questions or any thoughts or any input, maybe insights on how your organization is handling the impact of social distancing? We've all been impacted by it. Anybody have any thoughts? Yes, sir.
2 quick questions. One, how do you feel about young college graduates going into the workplace and how they're going to develop into the culture? And do you think this will really show true leaders versus posers?
Did you say versus posers? I like it. Yes, I'm going to repeat. I'm going to start with the second one first. Will this reveal true leaders or posers? Man, that's great. So a poser is somebody who isn't really a leader. A poser is somebody who just has a position, a title, but doesn't understand the purpose. Yes, COVID-19 is that great equalizer. We find out exactly who's who. Listen, leaders, I love this question. Leaders are needed most during challenging times. It's easy to lead people when the stars align. It's easy to lead people when everything's going great. We are needed. I wish I could just slam this down here because I'm so fired up. We are needed most during the darkest times. That is when we turn on our beacons. If we have not been developed to think and act like leaders, what good are we for our teams? If we're just the best widget maker, this is when our people need us the most. Now, the young generation going in the workplace, I'm 100% confident that with the right leaders, not posers, they will enter and they will be successful. And I can back that up. Every year, about 100,000 young Americans join the military after college and before college. Gen Z is going in. The majority of our military right now is the millennials. Remember when they used to get a bad rap? The millennials run our military, essentially. They're 75%, and everybody going in is Gen Z. Here's the common denominator between the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Space Force. They're all developed to think and act like leaders day one. Before anybody follows them, leadership is a huge part of the cure, so thank you. And I'm guessing, based on the fact that this gentleman is standing here, I'm out of here. So hey, you don't have to tell me twice. Hey, thanks so much for having me out, and I'll answer any questions afterwards. Appreciate it.
You can stay up here for a second. If only. Erik, I want to thank you personally for being here. This is going to impact all of us and all of our different companies and organizations, so thanks for the wisdom, and also thank you for being open and honest about your faithfulness to your wife and the inspiration that we can find from that. So thank you for being here at Rotary. From literacy and peace to water and health, Rotary is a global network of 1.2 million problem solvers who unite to take action to create lasting change to better our world. In honor of your presentation, we will make a donation to Every Meal, formerly known as the Sheridan Story, an organization focused on providing weekend and other food gap programs to over 10,000 children in Twin Cities metropolitan area. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, that was fun. Two great speakers today. Really enjoyed it. Okay, next week's speaker is Paul Campbell, and he'll be talking about the cost of cognitive bias. And looking ahead, we have on Saturday is the Rotaract Skating Social. On February 3rd is Vocational Happy Hour, and I understand Lisa Walker will be the speaker. And February 16th is our Leadership Series. And I want to thank everybody for attending live and on Zoom. I want to thank Erik and Kathy and Kayla. Welcome. Nice to have you with us. I'd like to leave you with a quote. The strength of the team is each individual member. The strength of each member is the team. Phil Jackson. With that, meeting adjourned.